Korea has a better democracy than America. So at the very top of this video, I have to explain what a democracy is before I can say that the Korean democracy system is currently working better than the American system. Let's be really simple. A democracy is a form of government where the government does what the majority of the people of that country want. I can go more deep into it, but that's generally what it is. It's not a monarchy where two people from a certain family control all of the government. It's not a dictatorship where one guy, maybe a military leader, controls what the government does. It's where the majority of the people decide what the government does. Now, I know a lot of Korean people think the Korean government is super corrupt and things are really bad, and I can't speak exactly too much to that. But I can tell you this huge story of how well the democracy worked in this one case, which is the stepping down of Park Geun-hye. I'm not sure how, I'll admit I kind of know what happened in that story, but I don't know all the ins and outs. But I do know this, most of the Korean people wanted her to step down, and then she did. That's the definition of a democracy. And I don't want to give all the credit to the Korean government, because I don't know what happened there, but I do know what happened on the side of the people, which was the people just said, fuck this, we're not going to have this anymore. We're not going to do this. We're going to come out and we're going to protest every Saturday in the fucking ridiculously cold Seoul winter. And not just come out there in small numbers, come out there, well, I think it was like 1 million people every weekend. 1 million people is like 2% of the population of the whole country. That is amazing. Not only was the protest amazing because of the size and the climate and how often they did it, how well organized it was and how peaceful it was. I understand that like there were people waiting there that would protest for 2 or 3 hours, and then they would like message each other, and then another group of people, a family or whatever, would come in and replace that people after they're too tired, and then they can go home. In that way, you could have a protest that could last the whole night. And they just kept going every single weekend and nobody got hurt. I know one guy died, but he was from his own fault. He kind of shook a van and something fell on him. But the point is that like I can't think of any protest in American history where it was so peaceful, well organized, large, and continuous. You'll hear all these protests against Trump, the school children against guns, and the women's protests, and they'll get big, but they'll only happen once. And just like what Park Geun-hye was trying to do is, okay, well, this will go away so I can ignore it. But it didn't go away. And people kept coming and kept coming and kept coming until they finally got their way and she resigned. And that is a very direct example of a democracy working where the people want something and then the government gives it to them. And really, I got to give all the credit to the Korean people because I'm still amazed by this. And whenever I mention this to my Korean friends, I'm like, dude, this is amazing what happened. They're like, yeah, it was pretty good, I guess. And they don't realize how valuable and cool it was to see, and the fact that, you know, the next president and the next presidents to come will have this fear of the people standing up and protesting against them every weekend. So it was a really good form of democracy being shown at that moment. Now on the flip side, we have America, and although I think we have good systems of democracy, like the way the judiciary, executive, and legislative branches work, and that's a good core of democracy. But when it comes down to the definition of does the government do what the majority of the people want the government to do, the answer is no. And the simple reason is money. In America, we have legalized bribes. Okay, a company or a person can't give money directly to a politician to influence him, but he can give money to that politician's campaign. Not only can he give money to him, he can give him any amount of money he wants. He can give him millions of dollars, he can give him hundreds of millions of dollars, he can give him billions of dollars if he wants. And because of the way the system works, he can do it anonymously, essentially. Look up what a super PAC is, I can't explain in this video. And also ends up really foreign governments can end up giving endless amounts of money to a politician through a super PAC. Now this is insane, but this is how it works. And look, let's get back and let's stick with that same definition, okay? does the government do what the majority of the people want the government to do? And the answer is no. There was a study done by Princeton. And if you're not paying attention to the video right now, because I know it's very late in the video at this point, you probably tuned out or changed the video. This is the really important part. There was a study by Princeton which showed that there's zero correlation between how popular a policy or bill or law is and whether or not it gets passed. Zero correlation. They don't care at all what the American people want. 0%. Let me give you a little better explanation. Let's say you have some law and 0% of the people want that law. It's just a terrible law. It's kill all the puppies law. Nobody wants it. That law has a 30% chance of being passed by Congress. You can say, well, why would Congress ever pass something so unpopular? Well, if a big corporation that gives a lot of money to all the Congress people wants it to be passed, they're going to get some votes. If there's just a specific billionaire, there's several billionaires who just give huge amounts of money to politicians, they want it, it can be passed. And look at the flip side. What if you have some policy that's super popular? Everyone in America loves it. It's the freedom to the freedom of freedom people. Whenever we have a law that needs to be passed, people always call it freedom and love and peace and harmony and educate the kids, whatever. So you have this bill that has 100% support from all the people in America. That bill also has a 30% chance of being passed. So 0% of the people want it, 30% chance it will be passed. 100% of the people want it, 30% chance it will be passed. Even if 50-50, half the people hate it, half the people love it, 30% chance it will be passed. 80-20, 30% chance it will be passed. 20-80, 30% chance it will be passed. It doesn't matter how popular the bill is with the American people, it has a 30% chance to be passed because politicians do not vote about a law being passed with any concern to how the American people want. They are not doing what the American people want. That is, by definition, not a democracy. So I showed you that America, basically at this moment, because of the way our rules are with giving money to politicians, we don't have a democracy. And no matter how bad you may think the Korean democracy is, whether you think it's super corrupt or whatever, I gave you a very good example of how, due to the people of Korea, like they deserve all of the credit for this. There is at least one moment in very recent Korean history when the Korean government exactly acted as a democracy. And for those reasons, I think right now Korea has a better democracy than America. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you hate this video, give it a thumbs down. If you love me or hate me, hit the subscribe button. I love talking about politics, and I don't know all the ins and outs of Korean politics, so it's really hard for me to say specifics, but I try to give this story about Park Geun-hye having to resign because I don't know all exactly what she did or whether, I can't even be certain whether she was good or bad in her actions because I can't get first-hand information in Korean. But I do know how the story played out with all the protesting and the fact that she had to step down, so I said that. But if there's anything you want to correct me on, if you totally disagree with me or totally agree with me, of course leave comments. I love comments. And remember, these videos come out every Friday at 7 p.m. So if it's after 7 p.m. on a Friday, there's a new video coming out that came out, and you should check it out. And of course, remember the number one most important thing of all. Have a super most awesome day.
창황 그리고 김유리 덕분에 저는 이런 영상을 만들 수 있어요.
여러분의 지원 덕분에 이번 영상을 제작할 수 있었습니다.